Okay, welcome to Off the Grid. Off the Grid, Season 4, Episode
6.
There you go. You got it.
Uncommon Ground.
That's right. Off the Grid, Uncommon Ground. On the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts, YouTube. Subscribe, leave a review. We're so happy to be here for Season 4, Episode 6. We're going to finish up some things tonight. Schwaber, tell us a little bit about Off the Grid. Try to make it quick this time, if you would, please.
Quick?
Yeah,
Well,
just quick.
we talk about things that are off the grid, not things that are on the grid. And those things are
Not Your Mama's News.
Not Your Mama's News.
Yep. Lists.
Stream sauce.
Stream sauce, things we're
What
watching.
You stream.
Yep.
Embarrassing song.
Embarrassing music. Yep. That we love.
How much would it cost to do something life-threatening?
Yep.
And the one that is eluding us is...
I'm not sure. I don't remember. I mean,
what if?
That's right. What if?
What if this, then that?
What if I remembered what our show was about? Exactly. So that's what we do here. We hope you have fun like we do. We hope we add a little bit to your day. We hope we brighten your life and give you some things to think about.
That's
First,
why we're here. We're here for you.
We're going to think about
entertainment pleasure.
There you go. We're going to think about this. Ooh, we got some exciting things to talk about tonight on Not Your Mama's News. Breaking news. Okay. What is Not Your Mama's News? Well,
it is, if you are like us and you grew up in the 70s and the 80s, there were only a couple of channels that you could get news from. ABC, NBC, CBS. That was about it.
Yep.
And you could only tune in at 6 o'clock or 11 o'clock. That was it. There was no 24 hours.
Nope.
And because of that, they didn't have a lot of time. So they only covered the important things.
Yep.
Like famine, poverty,
war,
floods, snowstorms,
accidental births at the Golden Corral.
Yes. Not those.
Yeah.
But those are the ones that we bring to you because they're a lot more interesting.
That's exactly
They're a
right.
lot more interesting. One might say off the grid.
That is correct.
Mm-hmm.
Our first Not Your Mama's News off the grid. Mark, let's tell our listeners what that is a picture of.
Well, it's not very appealing.
Not to us. Anyway.
It is a woman who is dressed in all goth.
Yep.
And she is in a garden.
That is correct.
And this headline is Woman Turns Backyard into Goth Garden with Dark Plants and Flowers. Not a phase for her.
Of course not.
So
no way.
So this lovely woman, Chloe Hurst, 29, graphic designer from Carleton Place, Ontario, Canada. She spent thousands of dollars transforming her backyard into a Gothic style outdoor space. Okay.
Yeah.
She is obsessed with the color black.
Obviously.
And she shares this space with her contractor husband, Jason, where they've created a goth garden. So from the time that she was a little girl, she dreamed of creating a black nursery in her backyard.
Wow.
And when she got her own house, she always wanted to turn it into something really special. She wanted to look mysterious and weird. So,
not a stretch.
Now, growing up, her mother would help her to plant colorful flowers in their home garden. But she would always want to plant some black flowers on her own. So today she has petunias, lilies, tulips, and mondo grass in her outdoor space that are all black. Okay. She takes her inspiration from the Addams Family. And she does. And she always enjoyed the darker things in life. Okay. Now she says it's not depressing.
No.
It brings her so much joy. And she feels like it is kind of I wouldn't say she used the words payback, but I think she's living out the life that she wanted to live when her parents tried to dress her in colorful clothes growing up.
There's so much here.
And she says she was born this way.
Yes.
She immersed herself in goth culture when she was in her teens. It's not just an aesthetic. Her goal is to make her living space into a haunted Victorian style home in the future.
Well, I mean,
hey,
she could do that.
She's all in.
Yeah, no doubt.
You got to respect that. She's all in.
I respect it. It's just there's so much to unpack here between Mommy and the Colorful Flowers.
Yep.
And the Addams Family inspiration.
Yeah, I mean, hey.
I mean, that to me is that's a beautiful story.
She's darkness.
It's definitely It's definitely not your mama's news.
She might be a witch.
Yeah, she is a witch. Yeah,
she is. Say that for sure.
Well, I mean, I don't have any hard proof.
No.
But I do have some anecdotal evidence.
Yes, you have a lot of anecdotal evidence.
Exactly. Not your mama's news. Mine is a little bit more lighthearted, so to speak, but it is also, well, we'll just, if you're looking at the picture here, for our listeners, that is a video captured covertly of a woman dumping water into a colleague's bag.
Okay.
Yes, and this happened to be an issue that was ongoing. Vermont lawmaker, I call this breaking water. Vermont lawmaker apologizes for repeatedly pouring water in her colleague's bag.
Okay.
So in Montpelier, Vermont, a Republican state lawmaker from Vermont has apologized for repeatedly pouring water into a Democratic colleague's bag after he caught her doing it on video. State Representative Mary Morrissey publicly apologized to Representative Jim Carroll, colleagues, and the citizens of Vermont from the House floor on Monday. Both are from Bennington, a town of about 15,000 people in the southwestern corner of the state. I am truly ashamed for my actions, Morrissey said of her disrespectful conduct toward Carroll. She said she apologized directly to Carroll and will be working toward resolution and restoration throughout legislative process. Now you're going to wonder why.
The big question is why.
Yeah, here we go. In response, Carroll told the chamber that he heard the sincerity in her voice, but he had to be frank, saying, "For 5 months, I went through this." And Morrissey had a choice each time she did it. It was torment, he said. Carroll told the Associated Press that the tote bag he hangs in the hallway at the State House was soaked a couple of times per week in January and February. Then, after he was charged with driving under the influence in February and returned from rehab, his bag was soaked almost daily. Do you think she had a problem with him for something other than just she had a problem with him?
Probably.
You think maybe he was a total jerk? Well, I mean, think about it.
No, I don't know why she put water in his bag every day. It sounds like she's being very passive aggressive.
It was relentless, Carroll said, adding that he was fairly confident it was Morrissey who said he said often mistreated him. He set up a video camera behind a scarf on the opposite wall. That was the little picture that we showed, and captured Morrissey pouring water from a glass into the bag on 2 different occasions. Then he showed the footage to the House Speaker Jill Krowinski, and they confronted Morrissey. This is a truly disturbing situation that is at odds with our legislative practices. The integrity and decorum of our legislative proceedings is of paramount importance, blah, blah, blah. Morrissey hasn't said why she did it, and she didn't respond to an email seeking comment. Carroll told fellow lawmakers on Monday that the first time he and Morrissey sit down to talk will be awkward, but we have to start somewhere. What I'm saying is the woman is pouring water into this guy's bag. Obviously, she's got a problem with him.
It's almost like she's waterboarding him.
Right. Exactly. She's waterboarding his bag. And then he goes out and he gets drunk, gets caught for a DUI, goes to rehab, and when he comes back, it goes from a couple times to a week to every day. Let's put the pieces together here.
Okay.
Do you think maybe she thought he was a drunk to begin with and didn't know how to say, look, you're a drunk and I don't like you and you behave inappropriately, and acted inappropriately herself? I think he would, now this is all speculation, but I think he was a vicious drunk And he probably, I don't know, maybe made advances toward her and she couldn't stand it, or she just didn't like the way he acted. So she was passive aggressive.
Any evidence?
I don't have any evidence. I'm drawing conclusions.
Anecdotal?
No anecdotal evidence. But I mean, think about it. And then he gets caught and she's like, okay, now I'm going to punish you more. That's what I think.
Or maybe she's just nuts.
And then she ends up on the wrong side of this because they get a video. Yeah, that's true.
Maybe she's just nuts.
Yeah, could be.
Maybe she just doesn't like him for some dumb reason. Like maybe she just spoke to her wrong one day and it just pissed her off. And then she just decided, you know how I can annoy him? I'm going to pour water in his bag every day and he's not going to know who the hell did it.
Because that's healthy and legislative.
And it's crazy.
There you go. Yes.
Good story.
Not your mama's news. Absolutely.
Good story.
Okay. So, Mark, everywhere we go on the internet, off the internet, mostly on the internet now, what do we see these things called listicles, right?
Well, they're lists.
Well, yeah, lists, right? Listicles.
What is
articles? It's an article. It's a list that is meant to be an article on the web.
But list and articles together to get listicles.
That's right.
Oh, I just thought it was a play on anatomy.
No. Excellent job, my friend. So the only lists that matter, we think, are the only lists that matter that we make.
Right.
And we're going to help you.
Right. We are much more interesting than most people. And for that reason, our lists are the only ones that matter. And here they are. We've been looking at a couple of things. Okay. We've been looking at our favorite brands / stores.
That is correct.
And we've counted down from 6 all the way to number 3. Today, we will reveal number 2 and number 1 for each of us.
We will.
Okay.
We will.
Who's up first?
Well, I got an idea. Why don't we make that you? Okay. Number 2 on the list of favorite store brands of all time for the Grand Schwabini.
New Era.
Interesting.
Now, there's really one reason and one reason only why New Era is high up on my board.
Go for it.
I'm a hat guy.
Yes, you are.
I love wearing hats.
Yep.
And New Era produces the hat that fits my head the best.
There you go.
And it's called a 3930.
Okay, I'll remember that.
New Era hat.
For the boar's head hat.
They fit my head perfectly. And not only that, but they also have an incredible selection. Like, so, you know, if you're interested in a particular team, like, so you like the Baltimore Orioles, right? You know, you could get a Baltimore Orioles hat that's like green and red.
Right. How cool.
You know, you could pretty much get anything in any color and all kinds of different iterations. And it fits. It's incredibly comfortable. That's the other thing too. It's incredibly comfortable. You know how some hats you put on and it's like, you know, they gotta like be really tight on you to feel good.
Yeah.
You know, or to look good.
Right.
It doesn't feel good. They're just incredibly comfortable, perfect fits, and lots of choices.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than a hat that doesn't fit you right. Especially after you buy it.
Right.
And then you're like, oh, why'd I buy this?
Right, exactly.
New Era, number 2 from the Grand Schwabini on the only list that matter, our favorite stores, our favorite brands. Number 2 for me, we had a conversation somewhat similar earlier in the lists. Number 2 for me, Rolex.
Whoa,
there it is, baby.
Those are expensive.
They can be, yes.
Yeah.
Unless
what's the cheapest?
Unless you have a fake one.
1,000?
I have.
I don't know.
No, they're. I don't want to discuss what they cost.
I'm just saying, what's the cheapest Rolex? Not that you've ever bought. I'm just saying,
probably
$5,000.
15,000
for the cheapest Rolex. Are you sure about that?
Maybe 8 or 9. Yeah, they're not cheap, man.
And why? What's so special?
When I was growing up, I loved my grandfather had a watch. It wasn't a Rolex watch. It was a watch that he was given. He was a janitor and he was given I still have it. He was given a gold watch on his retirement. You know, one of those things engraved in the back. Thanks for many years of service, cleaning the toilets or whatever he did. And he used to play. He used to let me wear it. It was one of those like bands that you know what I mean. Those bands that would self adjust and stuff. And he used to say to me, you know what I really want, Chris? I really want a Rolex watch. And what's a Rolex watch, Grandpa? And it just went from there.
Did you ever make his dream come true and get him that Rolex watch?
No, he died. He died when I was 17. I did not have the resources nor the money.
Well, you did have girlfriend's credit cards at your disposal.
That would have been a little bit too much. Yeah, that's funny.
That's right.
That's what I love about the Grand Schwabini. He doesn't forget a detail about anything, even if it's horribly embarrassing to you. I did pay her back, by the way.
I know. Good for you.
Thank you.
Good for
you. You did have great. Anyway, so no, I never made his dream come true, but my wife made my dream come true.
Oh, she got
on Father's Day.
Ooh, on Father's Day.
Yes. So I just love Rolex watches. I love the crown. I love the logo. I love the mystique. I love that they're considered one of the best watches in the world. And I'm a watch guy. I will always, I can't stand Apple watches, not because not because I'm one of those people who's like,
they're just
a curmudgeon. I'm not a curmudgeon. I get the technology. If you like an Apple Watch, it's really cool.
It's actually good for old people too, because it can alert and all that.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff.
Yeah. I really do think they're cool,
but it is the worst watch on earth.
Yeah. To me, I had one for a little while.
Not even a watch.
Yeah.
And actually, do you know this? Because in my business life, I work in the telecom space.
Yep.
And do you know what is the number one device that is not used?
Apple Watch.
Apple Watch.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yep.
I believe that. For me, we got an Apple Watch as a gift. Oh, it was given to my wife when she was a sponsor on the radio by the radio station, and they took us to like Miami for a thank you, thing. And they gave out gifts, and they gave us an Apple Watch. And my wife, she likes her phone, but she's not a technology person. And she's like, you can have the watch. And it was one of the first iterations of the Apple Watch. And I was like, oh, cool. Cause I love tech.
Right.
So I put the watch on, I hooked it to my phone, and literally 2 weeks later, I took the watch off and I gave it to my stepson. I was like, look, I don't need my phone to ring, and then my watch to bing, and then my phone to zip, and then my watch to zap. It's too much information.
It is, yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And so, but these kids, man, they're like my kids, my daughter, Carly, when she goes to lunch with me, I have to tell her to put the watch away now. She's like always ding, dang, ding, ding, ding. So anyway, watches, if you're going to wear a watch, wear a real watch.
Yeah.
And if you're going to wear a real watch, wear a Rolex. There's a sponsorship for you right there. The only lists that matter, number 2 for me, Rolex watches.
Right now, I believe Rolex sponsors Wimbledon, so we might be next.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah. I mean, we do play on a grass court. Yes. Okay. The number 1 favorite brand for the Grand Schwabini is up next. It is. Oh, this is a shocker for me.
A shocker for you?
Yeah, I didn't realize you were such a big fan.
Bean.
Yeah.
There it is. LL Bean.
Yeah, let me take there it is. Yep, you are. Yep.
You didn't know it was LL Bean?
No, I don't think I've ever seen you wear that t-shirt, or I've not been aware of anything LL Bean you've been wearing. But explain to us.
You're not paying attention.
Obviously.
So here's the thing. Believe it or not, the LL Bean story actually starts with credit cards. Okay.
Of course.
I was kind of raised to have the, American Airlines Advantage card.
Right.
Right.
What does kind of raised mean?
That's what my parents did.
You were privileged enough.
They told me you should do that.
Oh, right? Like my dad told me to get a gas card.
Right.
I get
it. So, and what I became frustrated over the years because I realized that, my God, like it takes so long to get the miles up to actually use it. It's like, to me, it's almost like a waste of money, So anyway, one day, I mean, I've always loved LL Bean clothing, growing up and stuff. And they happen to have an incredible LL Bean store at the Ross Park Mall.
Right.
And I just love that store. And so when that opened, I'm going to guess like mid 2000s, maybe. I got the LL Bean credit card. It's the best credit card on the planet.
Really?
Yes. Huh. Because basically what happens is, and look, I drive everything in its direction. I mean, I basically pay for everything on my LL Bean credit card.
Okay.
Okay. And because of that, I would say since 2006, let's call it,
Yeah.
I have not bought any clothing in my life.
That's incredible.
Because I'm serious. Like, you think about it. Like, for example, I got dental implants the other day.
Okay.
$3,200
On the LL Bean card.
Put it on the LL Bean credit card.
I love it.
Right.
Yeah.
So like every month I've got at least $5,000 on the LL Bean card.
That's fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what happens is I usually don't go there a lot, maybe 2 times a year, maybe 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I walk in and I give them my card and I say, can you tell me how many bean bucks I have? Right?
Bean bucks.
Right. And
Yeah.
they'll be like, you have $950.
Nice. There you go.
And so I just buy clothes there, like nice parkas,
Right.
coats, like,
Right.
all kinds of good shorts, great shirts, dress shirts.
Right.
I buy basically all my clothes from LL Bean, and I have not bought clothes in years.
That's amazing.
Now, look, here and there, you might catch me like maybe I'll go into like an Old Navy and they've got like white T-shirts on sale for $5.
Yeah. Yeah. That's allowed. That's allowed.
But outside of that, I mean,
Wow.
I basically get nothing from anywhere but LL Bean.
Now, this is some serious off the grid knowledge right there.
Yeah. I'm telling you, it's the best card out there.
There you go. Awesome.
Yep.
Number 1 for Schwaber is the LL Bean card.
Mm-hmm. And you know,
or LL
do you know how nice it is? Like, like when you look at like, let's just say like, similar brands to LL Bean, like a North Face or a
Right.
Marmo, the mountain type brand.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You go into those stores and like, you see a pretty sweet winter jacket and it's like, oh Jesus, $450.
Yeah.
It's free for me all the time.
Perfect. I love it. All right. Here we are. Number 1 for your technical director. I mean, I honestly, I don't know how I can beat that.
No.
I can't beat that. I can't beat it. I mean, I'm going to show something here that's a classic,
Mm-hmm.
and it's my favorite
Yeah.
brand of all time.
Yeah, I see that.
But I'm not gonna be able to like say that I can.
Well, but there's another angle here that we can explore,
Sure.
which I think would be very interesting.
Okay, let's do that. There it is.
A Porsche.
My favorite brand of all time is Porsche.
Is it Porsche or Porsche?
It's Porsche.
Porsche.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's Porsche.
All right.
It is Porsche, but you
Tell
can
your
say
story.
Porsche and they will accept
Okay.
that.
Tell your story.
Which story do you want to hear?
What I want to know is, what is it like to have your favorite brand demolished
In front of your very eyes?
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking. It's
I imagine
heartbreaking.
it would be heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Yes.
So I've always been a fan of Porsche, not just because, I mean, first of all, obviously it's an iconic car.
Right.
And as a young man growing up, we loved our cars. I mean, I remember many an episode of Schwaber going to buy cars with his dad,
Mhm.
and just the toll that took on his soul.
It does take a toll.
It does.
Yes.
I remember purchasing my own cars many times, and just, I mean, it's just a lot goes into it.
It is.
A lot goes
Yeah.
into it. I saw my first Porsche for real when I was in high school. I went to a high school that had some wealthy people in it. It was one of the, nice suburban high
Kids
school
on the other side of the track.
on the other side of the tracks from me, for sure.
Yeah.
But they would drive their 911s to school. And
Rubbed
then
it in your face, kind of.
yeah, I mean, yes.
Mhm.
They didn't realize they were
It
rubbing
hurt you.
It did hurt.
It
me.
hurt you.
It did. I'm gonna cry.
Mm.
But then I fell in love with the 944. Remember the classic 944?
Mhm.
And I was a Porsche guy from then on out. And the one I had a 911 when I was in my 20s, and yes, as Mark alluded to earlier, I did have a wreck, which we will not go into the details of, but suffice it to say, nobody was hurt except my ego and my pocketbook.
And your car.
Well, yeah, and my car. But the one thing about 911s that I didn't like was, yes, I know it's a 2-seater sports car,
Mhm.
but like it just didn't have enough room. So when Porsche came out with the Panamera, I jumped on it and I got one.
Mhm.
And it is the greatest car I have ever owned.
What is a Panamera?
The Panamera is the car that I just showed you. It's
that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Porsche. Do you remember the Porsche that I had? The Panamera. I had it. We were talking.
Okay. Yeah. I know that.
Yeah. And for me, I'm a purist at heart, and so I know that the Panamera is not. When it first came out, the Porsche purists were like, "Yeah, it's not a Porsche," but let me tell you, under the hood, it's every bit of Porsche. And it's a great car.
Now, let me ask you this, though.
Yeah.
This is something, and I like Porsches, too.
Yeah.
But this is something that has always befuddled me.
Here we go.
I don't understand the Porsche Cayenne.
I don't either.
I mean, I don't get it. Like, why does Porsche have a SUV, number one? And number two, why the hell would you spend all that money on a Porsche to get an SUV?
You know what? You're preaching to the choir there.
I mean, it makes no sense to me. I mean, I understand why they did it. They did it to sell cars.
Right.
But like, it's not the essence of a Porsche.
Not at all.
It's craziness to me.
Not at all. I think of course, they did it to sell cars. I'm a purist too. Now they have the Macan, which is basically the crossover SUV.
Okay.
Ridiculous to me. Just ridiculous. The Panamera as a sedan, I just thought made sense.
Yeah.
And
it still looks like a Porsche.
They did it right. Yeah.
Right.
But I think what Porsche did from a business perspective was really intelligent because they saw the trend and they did it first before the other luxury brands.
True.
So they were bucking on a trend there. Like, we're losing sales out. We're losing some luxury sales because like Lincoln was doing SUVs before they were, but they're like, there's a market here. So they jumped on it. And unfortunately for people like us, I believe it's an abomination. Yeah. It's a total abomination.
Yeah.
I don't want an SUV that goes 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds. I don't care.
Yeah.
I have no desire for that. So I think the Panamera came out as kind of hey, look, we can give you 4 doors and 4 seats, but give you the classic sports car. Yeah. So, but now Lamborghini has an SUV. Yep. Lamborghini does. Ferrari does.
Really?
Bentley has an SUV. There's a couple of them around Pittsburgh. They're driving around. You can see.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And Bentley's SUV looks like garbage.
I mean, I see the Cayenne around a lot.
Well, yeah, it's like
considered it's almost like a
trendy.
It's almost like a Lexus.
I know, it's like trendy. It's so stupid. Okay, we've spent way too much time on that. But number one for me, Porsche. So we finished up our list of the only list that matter, favorite store brands. Number 2 for Mark was New Era. Number 1 was LL Bean. Number 2 for me was Rolex. Number 1 was Porsche. Do you sense a little bit of a trend there?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. You're a poor guy and I like rich things.
You could call it that.
Yeah, right.
Or you could say I'm down to earth and you're a snob.
That too. Yeah. I mean, I like to think I'm not a snob, but
or I'm authentic and you're materialistic.
That's even better. That's even better. This is Off the Grid, season 4, episode 6. Of course, you can find the podcast. If you're listening to us now, you've already found the podcast on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts. And we would love for you to subscribe. Leave a review. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you'd like to see. Tell us what you'd like to hear. Tell us all about yourself, actually. Yes, Mark, did you bring any kind of food or ingredients or anything? I'm feeling a little bit of a hunger coming along here.
I did. And I'm going to do things a little bit differently today because I'm going to make a soup. And I'm going to start out by throwing in some carrots and some onions with some olive oil. And, heating that up before we put anything else in.
Okay. I am going to put in some miso broth.
Miso
sure broth, whatever.
Yeah, I know what that is.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm going to put in some hearts of palm.
This sounds like it's getting better and better. Yeah. And I'm going to throw in some bagel chips.
Oh,
there you go.
Now you put it over the edge.
Absolutely. So what do we get?
Stream sauce.
That's exactly right. Stream sauce. There's a lot of streaming platforms out there. Sometimes you spend, 30, 40 minutes looking for something to watch, and then you just walk away from your device because you're tired of looking. So we're going to help you because we bring the recipe for your streaming
sauce
edibleness. Yeah,
Yep.
whatever. So first item, first ingredient, stream sauce this week. We'll start with me because I like to start with Mark a lot. So I'm going to cut him a little bit of a break. I watched this on Apple TV. Fantastic show. It's called Masters of the Air. If you remember, back in the early 2000s on HBO, there was a show called Band of Brothers, which I double watched.
Yes, you like that a lot.
I do. I'm watching The Walking Dead again right now. I'm I'm at the end of season 4.
Are you?
Yeah, the governor. Anyway, so Band of Brothers was about the D-Day invasion and Easy Company, and it was true to life. Then after that was the Pacific, which was on the opposite side. And this one is Masters of the Air. It's about the B-17 bomber pilots who were flying over Europe into Germany before, during, and after the D-Day invasion to try to soften the underbelly of the Axis. And
Evil.
I'll tell you what, stars the guy that played Elvis in the Elvis movie.
Oh, yeah, he's really good.
Austin
Gerard Butler? Austin Butler.
Austin Butler.
Right.
Gerard Butler. He's a little older. Austin Butler stars him. At first, I was not thrilled about that because I did watch the Elvis movie.
He's really good in Elvis.
He's really good in it, but I didn't really like the movie.
Oh, okay.
And I thought he almost looked too fake.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? He's like,
well, you're very critical.
Right. Thank you. He's almost too good looking.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I can buy that.
It almost looks like he puts filler in his lips.
Okay. Okay.
But I'm dripping on him right now.
You're dripping on him.
I'm dripping on him. So I don't want to drip on him.
What does that mean exactly?
Dripping?
Yeah.
Yeah. Throwing shade at him.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong about that. I'll ask some of my Trader Joe's compadres.
All right.
But I'm throwing shade on Austin Butler, and I don't mean to, because it turns out he's really good in the movie.
Yeah.
He plays one of the lead characters. And it goes through this one bomber company where something like 90% of the airmen, not just the pilots, but one B-17 had 8 people in it, guns all over the place, the bombardier, the pilot, the co-pilot. And then they would fly with 50 of them over Europe. And they were shit was getting shot at them like crazy. And Messerschmitts, which are German fighter planes, were coming at them. And I think this company, I can't remember the name of the fighter wing, but they lost over the war 90% of their airmen.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And so you didn't realize, we think of war as being the Band of Brothers. You're on the ground, you're in the infantry, there's tanks, there's blood, there's explosions and all this stuff. And you think the fighter pilots, they get all the glory. They're flying about. Not these guys, man. It was horrific what they had to go through. Let's put it this way. Watch this if you're an enthusiast of this kind of history show. Watch this and then tell me what happens to you in the last episode of the series when they finish the series and then they cut to interviews with the actual dudes, or a lot of them have passed away. They do their biographies. I will tell you, it's about 15 minutes long. I cried the whole time.
Really?
It was so moving. I bawled my eyes out because the emotion.
You are very emotional.
I am an emotional person.
Yes,
I am.
Wow.
It serves me very, very well most of the time.
Okay.
Unless I'm in jail screaming at a cop.
Enjoy that.
Did I say that out loud?
You did.
Yeah. That was around Porsche time. All right. Masters of the Air on Apple TV. That's my ingredient. The Grand Schwabini's ingredient is
The Tourist.
This is on Netflix, right?
This is on Netflix.
All right. Lay it out for me.
It's 2 seasons, only 6 episodes each, so you can watch it pretty fast.
Nice and quick.
It's first is in Australia, the second is in Ireland. And basically, the Irish tourist who goes by the name Elliot.
Tourist?
Tourist.
Okay. All right. I wasn't sure.
Sorry, did I say that?
There are Tories in England,
Oh,
so I thought maybe
no.
you were mixing it up.
No, tourist.
Tourist. To rest.
Yes.
All right. Sorry about that.
Elliot, anyway. He's forced off the road and left for dead. Wakes up in an Australian hospital with amnesia. And a local cop in training, Helen, takes special interest in his case,
Mm-hmm.
and the two team up to learn more about his identity.
Mm-hmm.
So the cast is Jamie Dornan is Elliot Stanley, and
Mhm.
Danielle McDonald is the probationary constable Helen Chambers.
Nice. That sounds like a really intricate name.
Which, by the way, Danielle McDonald, who is Helen Chambers, won the Foreign Awards Breakthrough Performance for The Tourist.
Very cool.
It's got a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it became. Do you know what iPlayer is? I have no idea what that is.
No.
But I read that it was the most watched series on iPlayer in iPlayer history. I don't know what iPlayer is, though.
Yeah. That must be a European something.
But anyway, it's really good. It's really good. And, the whole time you're kind of guessing, like, what was it that he did in life? And, why are people after him and want to kill him? And who are these people that are in his life? And like, why are they helping him or not helping him? And, and then the second season I thought was even way better than the first season. It's just really good beginning to end. It's like a no doubt about it. You'll like it.
That's interesting because that's one of the premises they use a lot that I feel has become like lazy Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have somebody forget who they are and then build a series around them figuring out who they are.
Well, you know what? It's interesting you say that because that was kind of like the reason why I hadn't watched it for a long time.
Right.
Because I just feel like it's another one of these.
Yeah.
Yes. But then, my dad said that it was great.
Yes.
So just so happened we got to a point where we're like looking for something to watch. We're like, why don't we just give this a shot?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was well worth it.
You seem to be listening to your dad more.
My dad actually does a pretty good job with shows that he's watching.
Just not barbecues.
No, he can't barbecue for his life.
Yeah. All right. The Tourist on Netflix. Mark's ingredient in stream sauce. So I'm going to ask you another question, Mark, like I do every episode. Mm-hmm. What if this happened? Okay. What if this happened? What if you were told that your new boss is a 10-year-old genius?
Oh, boy.
Would you continue to work there, or how would you handle being directed by a 10-year-old if you did choose to stay? Would that upset you?
It's a tough question. Did you put up the picture of the...
No, I'm going to do that right now.
Okay.
I do appreciate you.
For those of you who are looking, that's your boss. It's like a little kid with curly hair.
That changes things. Yeah. It looks
actually, it actually kind of looks the way I looked when I was a kid.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, you never met me when I had my fro.
Yeah. The fro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can I see pictures someday?
Sure.
Okay.
It's a really tough one here. I imagine there'd be certain forces at play. Like if I have if I have a really good salary, I'm not just going to leave my job.
Right.
10-year-old's taking over. Right.
With benefits.
Right. But I'm going to say, like, if I made less than $100,000, I'm definitely thinking about not working for this kid.
For a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Genius. But he's a genius.
He is a genius, but there's also an element of life lessons that a 10-year-old is not going to be well schooled in.
Right.
I'm going to also guess the 10-year-old's not going to be well schooled in leadership and management.
Yes.
And I just feel like it would become incredibly annoying.
Yeah.
Well,
I have a lot to say about this, but I think I can sum it up all in one phrase.
Yeah.
Welcome to parenthood.
Oh.
I have had 10-year-olds as my boss. Okay.
But they weren't geniuses.
I would quit that job immediately.
But they weren't geniuses.
I would. Yeah, that's right. I wouldn't care. I don't care how much you're paying me. I don't care if the kid's a genius or not. 10 years old, I don't need to take any more shit from 10-year-olds than I've already taken in my short life. Okay. Done. End of story.
You're out.
I am out. No way. Now, that being said, good luck. I hope you succeed in life, but you're just not going to succeed with me, which is also what I told my children. Okay. Season 6, season 4, episode 6, Off the Grid on Common Grounds. the podcast, please subscribe, review, tell us how you feel. Now, Schwaber, we're driving down the road and we got the radio blasting, and you pull up to a stoplight or in a parking lot, and you're just having a great time with this song.
Yep.
And next thing you know, you realize, oh God, there's people around. What are you doing?
Yeah, well, specifically, pulling up on your left is a black Camaro.
Yeah, I didn't like where that was going.
With an Italian.
No offense to the Italian people.
And his big-haired girlfriend.
Really? Is that what it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe a little profiling.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But it's Italians, so we're allowed to.
Yeah. So
Sebastian Maniscalco.
And what I've got playing, which is embarrassing, is the song "Sucker" by the Jonas Brothers. Are you familiar with this song?
Yes. This is called "Roll 'Em Up."
You.
Yep.
I'm a sucker for you.
There you go.
All of the beautiful things I can say about you.
Oh my God.
So yeah, it's embarrassing, but I do think it's a really good song.
I don't really know the song at all, but I will take it from you that it's probably not the kind of song,
I mean, when you say it's a Jonas Brothers song, you're right already starting off in a bad spot.
You really are. You're starting off on a horrible spot.
Yeah.
Okay, my roll 'em up song. This is kind of strange because I'm not sure you're going to agree with me on this.
I think I will.
But let's get it on, Marvin Gaye.
No, I agree.
Let's get it on.
Well, because it's a song for private.
Yeah,
it's a song for private,
like for private. What?
Right, like let's say if the Italians in the Camaro are looking at you and you're singing this song, then it looks like you're some kind of like sexual deviant.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Let's get it on.
You know what I mean? That was pretty good.
And if you're singing that to a steering wheel,
that's
not going to look good.
Yeah, it's not normal.
Yeah, so it's a great song.
But I love the song.
It's a great song, but
crank it up.
But it's not one that you want to be seen singing alone in a car.
Another one is Sexual Healing too.
Sure. Oh yeah, same thing.
Yeah. But I will say that I have pulled up to stoplights with Sexual Healing on and left it on.
Have you?
Yeah, because I want to make a statement.
There you go.
Yeah, stay away from me.
There you go.
All right, let's get it on. Marvin Gaye. That's my roll 'em up song for the week. Now, Mark, how much money would it take for you to be trapped in an elevator for 72 hours with just enough snacks and water to stay alive? And there you are.
Yeah.
A picture of a guy in it. Looks like he's having a bad day in an elevator. Are we sure that's an elevator? Yeah, that is an elevator.
And so really what this is all about here is this is about claustrophobia.
Yes.
You know, this is, can you handle, I mean, think about it, 72 hours, that's 3 days, right? Yep. 3 days and you're not getting out of that elevator.
Yep. Nobody's coming to help you.
Yeah. No, you're not going to die. You got snacks. You got a couple, Twinkies. You got Krimpets.
Yep.
And you got some water. So you're going to live.
Right.
You know, you're not dying. And you're going to get out of there.
Right.
You're going to go back to your normal life.
Right.
But it's going to be a rough 72 hours.
Yeah. You want to know why it's going to be really rough?
Why?
Where are you going to pee?
Well, maybe you open up the area where there's supposed to be a phone and you pee in there. Sometimes there's a trash can in there.
Yeah. Where are you going to poop?
I'm just going to poop on the floor.
Can you? Can you poop? Can you go 3 days without pooping?
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah. Why don't you, let's start now.
But also think about this. You're in a position where you're locked in in an elevator, you're probably going to have some anxiety related poop. Diarrhea, maybe anxiety
or constipation. The opposite.
Right.
I can tell you that I have gone 3 days without pooping.
Sure.
But there is no way I'm going 2 hours without peeing. So that's going to be a problem.
Right.
That's going to be a real problem for me.
That's tough. Yeah.
To me, the 72 hours.
So that's almost more like, would you sit in your own urine for 70
You're
hours?
asking, it's a different question altogether. Yep. I would. So for something like that, you're going to, it's $1 million, baby. Because I am not. Yeah. For $1 million, I will pee in the corner of an elevator for 2, because I can go 3 days on a minimal amount of water, a few snacks in a quiet area all by myself. I would prefer that. If you put a toilet in there, You don't have to pay me any money. I'll hang out there as long as you need, as long as I have the snacks. I actually tried that a couple times. That was also a Porsche-related story.
When I posed this question, I never considered that it would entail sitting in your own urine.
Well, but think about it.
I guess you're right. I mean, because if you had a lot of urine, I mean, over 3 days, you're going to have a decent amount of urine.
Let's see. I'm going to estimate how many times I pee a day. Probably 2, 4. I probably pee 10 to 12 times a day.
Yeah, me too, probably.
In a 24-hour period.
Yeah.
Yep. And the other one I do multiple times as well. So that's a lot of pee over 72 hours.
That is.
Yeah. The 72 hours that I spoke about where I was in a raunchy elevator-like setting for a few days had a toilet available. Wasn't the cleanest device, but it was there. So you're talking no toilet, baby.
Yeah,
$1 million.
I'm gonna say less though. I'm gonna go like 600,000.
Okay, but it's still a lot though. You're like for 600 grand, you would sit in your own urine
it's still a lot.
Yeah. So here's the thing: like after the first, you might be able to hold your pee in for 6 hours.
Right.
After that, once you've done it once, you're not holding it again.
Right.
So the first 6 hours, then the next 62 hours or 66 hours, it gets progressively worse. Like I suppose you could fill up the water bottles.
You could fill up the water bottle.
Yeah, but what happens when you run out of water bottles?
Right.
Or what happens if you have to pee and you don't have an empty water bottle?
Right, exactly.
Now you got to drink more.
You got to drink the water.
You don't want to waste it, right? And then you pee into it. Right. So this is a good question.
This was a good question.
I like this question. Yeah. So 600,000 for you, and $1 million for me to sit.
The key for me is that there is no life threat.
Most likely, yeah.
Most likely, unless you get like, a staph infection from stepping in your own poo.
All right, there you have it. This was Off the Grid, Uncommon Ground, Season 4, Episode 6. That's it for us.
Thanks for being with us. We can't do this without you. We love you, our fans.
That's right. Grab our podcast on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Leave us a review, subscribe. You can follow us on YouTube. We'll be back next week with all kinds of earth-shattering and interesting things to talk about. I'm your technical director. I am out.
Goodbye.